Well, thanks everyone for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it. Ashley's put a lot of work into this presentation for you guys. We had a lot of questions, and we thought it would be a really advantageous time to kind of just do a women's only talk. Get Garrett and I out of the room, damn it, and really let you guys have a better conversation with Ashley than we could provide. Our big goal tonight is just to foster good dialogue, hopefully get some good takeaways, and let Ashley show you, her expertise in this area, and really show you, how she helps clients during some of the times in our lives. So with that being said, Garrett, you all good, bud?
Yeah, I just want to, publicly, I always like to recognize in public, Ashley, thanks for all the hard work, because we're not going to be out at the end of the call putting this together. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's really great content. We reviewed it. Secondly, I know this is the last week of the challenge, so we're not going to have another one of these calls with the challenge, but I want to thank everyone for being part of the challenge, jumping on the call the other week. This one, again, thank you. We want to continue to do this stuff. Even outside of the challenge, especially if there's a need and desire for it. So feel free to give us topics, share them with Ashley tonight, me and Andrew, when you see us. We love doing this stuff, whether it be 1 or 2 people jumping on or 15. We get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So please let us know other topics, because we'd love to do this minimum once a month going forward. So again, thanks you, Ashley. Thank you, everybody doing the challenge and hopping on these calls. And please let us know outside of the challenge how we can continue this, because we think it really adds a lot of value to our community. So, yep, Ashley, I'll hand it back to you. And if not, me and Andrew can hop off pretty shortly.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.
All right, ladies, how's everybody doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Make sure
I'm doing good too.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm really excited to talk about a topic that honestly doesn't get talked about enough. Your body, your hormones, how to support it through all of its changes. Or if it does get talked about, it's, might be like old ideas or old concepts. So let's get through that tonight. You're already showing up in the gym, which is incredible, but what happens outside the gym is just as important. And that's what we're diving into. So hang in there. All right. Why are we here? So let's be real. No one handed us a manual for this. And when symptoms started popping up or will start popping up, we're either told it's normal or handed generic advice like do more cardio, eat less. That's why this call is about empowerment, understanding your body better, learning how to work with it, and leaving with real tools that you can use right now. Oh, let me add somebody real quick. Or did she join? Okay, I think we're okay. And of course, if men had hormonal shifts like we do, there'd probably be a national holiday and a government funded app, because, it's men versus women. We are stronger than they can possibly understand with all the stuff that we deal with. But moving on. All right, so tonight, this is what we're going to cover. We're going to actually talk about what's happening with hormones during this transition phase. This conversation, whether you're in it, going through it, or haven't, or beyond it, or even haven't entered it yet, depending on the ages of the women in here, this is still excellent information. Might be something that you didn't know, or you've yet to experience, or maybe it'll provide clarity on something you didn't quite understand. Why belly fat becomes more common. That was one of the questions that was put in the community group, and why it's not about willpower. There's a lot of just chemistry things going on, biological things going on with that. Some common mistakes women make when trying to fix things, and how we can start working smarter, not harder, with our fitness, food, and stress. Sound good so far?
Sounds great.
Sounds Awesome. good.
All right. So the menopause journey. Menopause isn't one moment. It's a process of multiple phases. Perimenopause can start as early as your late 30s and last up to 10 years. This is when symptoms really ramp up. This is when like the mood swings and the hot flashes and your body starts to change and you want to burn the world down, scorched earth style. That's when that happens. It's the stereotypical stuff that people, will joke about when they talk about going through menopause. Menopause itself is technically just a single point in time. It is the moment at which it's been 12 months since your last menstrual cycle. And then post-menopause is every day after that. And then, during post-menopause, that's when your hormone levels stay low. They pretty much stabilize at that point, but they are low. And that's where it creates a lot of the symptoms we associate with postmenopause, which is sleep issues, belly fat, lower recovery, muscle loss, bone density loss, that kind of stuff. But it's not the end all to be all. I promise you, you are in control. And if you have any questions while we're in the middle of this, because I'm presenting, I can't see the chat, just put them in the chat and then we can address them all at the end of the call. Or I can talk to y'all after the call too, whatever works. All right, so what have you been told versus what helps? You may have been told to eat less, do more cardio, but what actually helps you is prioritizing protein, managing stress with intention, building muscle through resistance training, which y'all are already doing, and asking better questions, not just accepting the discomfort. If something like is bothering you and you're like, this just doesn't seem right, ask the question. There is no wrong question when it comes to me, your doctor, or whomever you're going to that's a professional around this field. Ask it, because you don't know what you don't know, and that's why we're here today, is because this stuff isn't taught to us in school or growing up. So here we are. All right. How to support your body. Thriving through hormonal change. Such a roller coaster. We're such lucky people to have to deal with that. All right. Estrogen dropping changes how our bodies store fat and recover. It's not about trying harder. It's about adapting smarter. You're not starting from zero. You're already putting in the work. But recovery, nutrition, and nervous system support are what allow those workouts to do their job. That's the combo that gives your body permission to feel safe, release excess stress, and rebuild stronger. It's often a topic that I discuss with my women in my one-to-one calls that are, our clients. It's just, they think they're doing what they're supposed to do, but they don't realize the impact that it might be having on their nervous system. Stress is the number one thing we tackle always. And also recognizing what stress is controllable and what's not. But that's a whole nother conversation. All right. Belly fat and cortisol. So that was another one of the questions that was kind of talked about, like what about, labs with cortisol? What about the belly fat? So let's talk belly fat. It's definitely a top concern and one that often leads women to double their cardio or slash their calories. But in most cases, what's really contributing to the stubborn belly fat is cortisol. And where that's coming from is when we're constantly stressed, whether it's life, work, or sleep, under eating, our bodies stay in a high alert state. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, we're in a constant state of fight or flight. We're constantly running from a bear that does not always exist. Like, we don't need to be running from a bear when we're sitting at a red light. So learning to manage that stress is crucial. Cortisol is not a bad hormone. It is crucial to keeping you alive, but it should not always stay elevated. It should come back down. So when it is constantly elevated, the body will shut down its non-necessity functions, and losing fat is not a necessity when it's in fight or flight. So With that being said, cortisol typically stores fat around the midsection to protect us, not punish us. That's why reducing stress, eating enough, and sleeping well actually work better than trying to outrun your hormones. It's a complex thing, and it's different for each individual, and that's where the one-on-one comes into play, because I have some women who they went through perimenopause and they really didn't experience anything, and just they were totally fine. And then I have other women who went through absolute hell with it. It's so different for every individual, and it's important to know that you're not alone and you don't have to suffer. There's ways to get through that stage of life easier. All right, lab work. I'll ask about lab work. I just want to put a disclaimer out there. It's not currently in my scope to prescribe or interpret labs. That is something you should do with your provider. However, I can help you know what to ask. Or if there were certain things you're experiencing, I could be like, oh, you should probably talk to your doctor about XYZ. But in general, I usually recommend clients request a comprehensive panel. Now, that'll look at thyroid health, cortisol, sex hormones, inflammation markers, nutrient levels, the whole shebang. I want everything under the sun that they can test with blood in a lab. We go from there. It's also really cool to see, like, at the beginning of a client's journey and throughout their journey, how those numbers change, for the positive over time. Especially cholesterol and A1C and all that stuff, they end up improving, which is phenomenal to see. All right, so with that being said, though, I want you to understand that labs are not everything. What you feel day to day matters just as much. That's why I often recommend symptom tracking as a starting point. It gives the context that labs alone can't. There's so many little things that go into that. How you're feeling, what your sleep is like. Do certain foods, cause issues with your GI tract, or do they make you irritable, that kind of stuff. There's so many things that go into it. So that's where being aware of your own body and your own responses to things come into play. All right. Common pitfalls. So I'm sure whether you're in this transition of life or when you're younger, this is something you've probably done. I know I've done it when I just didn't know any better, because, like I said, this is stuff that's not taught to us. We have a lot of pressure with society, but it's high time we change that. So common pitfalls that I've seen women make all the time, myself included, not because they're doing something wrong, but because no one told them differently. It's the, under eating, especially protein, overdoing the cardio. That's going to be harped on a lot just because it's been harped on in society so much. And I want to be clear that I'm not bashing cardio. Cardio is great for you. It's just not the end all to be all when it comes to fat loss. But your resistance training when it comes to fitness. Not prioritizing strength, not recovering properly, cutting carbs or fat too drastically, because that directly affects your hormones and your energy. And then also just kind of thinking you have to do this by yourself, or that you have to figure it out alone. You absolutely do not. One way or the other, there is somebody, whether it be me or a friend, whoever, who can walk this journey with you. You're not alone. And one thing I love is showing women what they're made of. I love showing you how strong you are and what you're capable of, things that you thought you'd never be able to do or never be able to achieve. It's like a personal challenge to me, because I truly believe in the female spirit, mind, body, everything. Just, we're incredible beings, and I want every woman to see that and feel that for herself. All right. So a lot of this is, truly about your perception. I need you to reframe what y'all are thinking or how you look at stuff. And then it's not to say that everybody in here is thinking about things negatively. This is just in general. But if your body is holding on to fat or feeling off, it's not failing. It's adapting to stress, to lack of fuel, to poor sleep, to under recovery. And that means we can shift the input, change the response. You don't need to push harder. You just need to listen deeper. Our body is always communicating with us. And that's one of my main duties or responsibilities as a coach, is to help you identify, what is it saying to you? Okay, let's dive in, let's look deeper, and it makes all the difference once you actually are aware of what's happening. It's all about perception. All right. What I want all of you to know and to remember, your body isn't broken, it's responding. This isn't about perfection, it's about support. You already trained hard, so now I want y'all to, recover harder. Understanding your hormones isn't about fear, it's about strategy, and strategy is what leads to success. Knowledge is truly power. Strategy is how you get results. So just keep those things in mind. And when you have those moments and those days where you're like, screw this, I hate this, it's okay. Accept those feelings and then be like, all right, tomorrow's a new day. We'll move on with this. Because we can't expect to have a perfect life, because that just doesn't exist. But we can control how we respond. All right. So we're going to get into questions and stuff here in a minute, but I just want to put this out there for y'all. I want y'all to challenge yourself during this last week of the group challenge. I mean, you can challenge yourself this way every week. I want you to, track your symptoms for the next 5 days or so, whether it's in a phone note or a journal. I want you to pay attention to your energy, your sleep, your mood, digestion, cravings, those little things. There's the biofeedback is a huge measure of what's going on, or a predictor of what's going on, what we need to change, why your body is doing X, Y, Z. It's everything. If you're not already eating one meal a day with at least 30 grams of protein, please just start with one. And if you are eating one, make it two. It's little habits that stack, that create big changes. Or you can choose one nervous system support habit daily, and that's outside of your normal routine of, working out. Take a 10-minute walk, do some breathing, deep breathing, journal, meditate, punch a pillow. I don't care. Something that helps you just release and relax, whatever that might be for you. And you might have to try several things to find what works best, and that's okay. Hell, it might change from month to month, day to day. Just make it something that is doable for you and that works for you. All right. And then, like I said, we're getting ready to get to questions or comments, or just if y'all want to vent, that's fine with me too. But I want you to always remember, when you feel like quitting, please remember why you started. Because these bad days will absolutely come, no matter what your journey is, what your goal is. Bad days in life happen. So don't give up when the going gets tough, because you will be pissed at yourself after. And then when everything's going great, you don't want to give up. So it's consistency over perfection. All right, ladies. Let's see if y'all put anything in the chat. All right, does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss, vent on, ask questions on?
I have a quick question. Supplements help, or should you just be doing just proteins in your diet? Like, should you be taking vitamins, calcium, and take all these different types of vitamins? What do you suggest?
So in general, yes, a high quality multivitamin is good. But as far as like a direct individual recommendations for supplements, that would be more based on what's going on in your world. And I would have to have some more in-depth questions. But in general, yes, a multivitamin I do recommend for most people, because unless you're growing your own vegetables, growing your own fruits, doing all of it on your own, more than likely you're not getting all the nutrients that you need from our food that we just have access to at the grocery stores, because our soil quality is poor these days. But that's a good question. Anything else?
I liked hearing your comment about your body and around the belly fat, that it's protecting you. That's a positive message I never thought about before. So appreciated that. A question for you on proteins. You mentioned 30 grams per meal. Is there a hierarchy in better proteins? Are there proteins we should be focusing on that are better than others? I'm not sure if there are.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying or asking. Yes and no. So I always recommend that you try to get your protein from whole food sources, whether that be a plant protein or animal based. That is your personal choice. One is not better than the other. Plant proteins just take a lot more strategy and planning to get complete proteins. But getting protein from meat, eggs, dairy, that's always going to be your number one sources. However, protein shakes and bars are good as the supplement that they were intended to be. It's not always realistic to be able to hit your protein goals every single day, because life happens. There's plenty of times where I'm like, well, I'm having 2 shakes today because I have 3 kids and they make me crazy sometimes. So whole foods is the key there. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense, yes.
All right, cool. Anybody else?
I had another question about your comment on ignoring recovery. Could you tell me what's proper recovery?
Sure. Again, that can be very individualized, but when I talk about recovery, oftentimes when I ask people, like, how are you recovering? Like, what do you do to come down from, the stress of the day, the stress of life? And they're like, I don't know, I just deal and I just push through. Or they push through pain, or they push through the chaos, and they don't ever allow themselves a break until they absolutely burn out and their body gives out, essentially. So recovery can be something as simple as just taking 10 minutes a day to shut off your brain to the rest of the world. And I know that's so much easier said than done, especially as a woman. But even if it means, like, if you have a really busy house, maybe that means like locking yourself in the bathroom and just watching something funny, reading something, just taking a little breather for yourself, where you are allowing yourself that time to focus on you and only you and nobody else, and understand that it's okay. The world's not going to burn around you. They're fine. Your family's fine. It could be something as like when you want to rest, but you don't typically allow yourself to rest because there's so much to do. Allow yourself to rest. That chore, those dishes, that want, all of that's going to be there tomorrow. It's never going away. It's an endless cycle, just like taxes. You don't go anywhere. So rest before your body forces you to rest. Just getting outside and getting, some morning sun can be an example of recovery. A good telltale sign to know if you're recovering well when it comes to your workouts. If you are constantly, and I mean every time you work out, if you are constantly so sore, that it's hard to move, it's hard to sit, it's hard to get up, then you are not recovering well. You are doing too much, whether it be the physical activity is too intense, or you're not eating enough, or you're not sleeping enough. There's different things that can be playing into it, but something is out of whack. Soreness is normal, but it's common, but it should not be every single time you work out, or at least not severely. If extreme soreness is lasting beyond 2 days, something's out of whack. There's really so many factors that can go into recovery, but it's truly setting boundaries for yourself. That's one of the main things I have to do with a lot of my ladies, is we got to work on boundaries in their household. Ones who have grown kids, or teenagers who can be doing some things for themselves, we start working that into the routine so they can have a little more time for themselves. Same goes for their husbands or their wives, or whatever the case may be. Just setting boundaries. It could be work boundaries. That in itself helps protect your sanity, and it brings down your stress, which ultimately plays into everything else. So, and I could talk about that forever.
That was excellent. Thank you.
Anybody else? Seriously, if you want to just vent, it's totally fine too. This is our space. The guys are not here, so.
Okay, I'll vent.
All right.
So I'm 52. I've been through perimenopause, menopause, and I'm now postmenopause.
Okay.
And the belly fat thing is real. It is so hard to get rid of. And I actually started hormone replacement therapy
That's great.
2 months ago.
That's great.
And I've already have noticed, even with no matter how strict I am with what I eat, it still doesn't help. For me personally, after trying this for 3 years, it's not going anywhere, but it's helping a little bit without even kind of watching what I eat. I can notice that things are shifting a little bit, but the food, and I'm hoping to take this through the next couple of weeks to try and really dial in the nutrition part now. Because if I was doing this with only half doing things, because of whatever I was concentrating on each week. So I'm hoping that at least that is going to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm on the lowest dose estrogen patch that is possible. I think it's 0.025 milligrams.
I think that's,
and then 200 milligrams of progesterone, which that has totally changed my sleep habits.
no.
I am not getting up in the middle of the night 7 times. I'm down to 2.
That's a blessing for sure. Oh, I love to hear that for you. That's exciting. And
I'm hoping now that all can now, for the 3 years that I've been going to the gym and seeing no results, that now this will start to at least help a little bit. Because I eat all the protein that I need, and I don't eat horribly, but sometimes it just, no matter what you do, it's not exactly right for your body.
Right. True. And that's why I said it's such a complex and nuanced thing, and what works for one woman might not work for another. And we have to be our own detective with that. And that can make it stressful for sure. But I love to hear that that's working for you. I definitely think we're turning a leaf in society, and there's more awareness around hormone replacement therapy being a good option, a safe option for women. There was a lot of misinformation about it for a long time. So I love to hear that for you. That's wonderful. Absolutely. And then as far as your nutrition goes, like you said, you're going to try to really hone in on these next few weeks on what you're doing. If you just focus on a protein source, and if you don't feel like weighing things out, say you don't have a scale, you're like, I'm not doing the weighing, it's just not happening. 1 palm is typically about 3 ounces. It's okay to eat 2 palmfuls of protein. That's going to get you a lot of protein. And then getting a hand cup worth of a good carb, in the sense of, potatoes, rice, stuff like that, or quinoa, like what you like, because it needs to be something that you like and that you're willing to eat forever. And then a crap ton of vegetables or fruit, you're golden.
Right. And I find it hard to like do the measuring, because if I'm making whatever I'm making for me, I'm kind of doubling it for my husband. And so like, it's like, recipe for 4. Okay. I'm going to get 1 meal out of it and he eats the other 3 or, or his, like, so it does get a little confusing trying to get everything in. How much did I really have when you make those recipes? So
For sure. There's definitely complex, and you won't ever actually know without logging everything. And even still at the end of the day, it's not 100%, but there are ways to eyeball things to get you in a general, range of understanding about what you're eating. So I love it though. You're doing the thing. That's all that matters. All right, ladies. Anybody else? Anything? You want to share any wins that y'all have had during this challenge? Or why you started the challenge in the first place? And also, these calls and the challenge is not the end of the line when it comes to help that y'all can get from me or from the guys. There's always opportunity to schedule a call with just me and just one-on-one. And if you want a little more intimate conversation or more guidance on specific things, I'm here for that always. I'm super flexible with time too, because like I said, I got 3 kids, so I make it work no matter what. But y'all are in the final week, which is exciting. All right, ladies. Well, if there's no other questions or comments or anything, then I'll go ahead and let y'all go. Like I said, we'll send you the slides. I'll send you a summary of everything, so you don't have to worry about what I said or what we discussed. And I'm always available to chat or whatever you need or ask advice. Y'all can DM me directly in Coach Catalyst, or we can schedule a call. If you're not sure of how to go about those things, just ask Andrew and Garrett and they'll get you set up. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Y'all have a good night.
thanks.
Thank you.